Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Don Mafia Report. Finally, about damn time, folks. The NFL draft is just days away. All right, mock drafts are almost over. And yes, I will tell you, at the beginning, it's very exciting looking at all of the potential selections for Buffalo. But I got to tell you, I am just thrilled to finally see who the Buffalo Bills ultimately end up walking away with. So much speculation. Are the Bills going to trade up? Are they going to trade down, but then trade up into the second? How many players will actually make this roster? Who is on their big board? We're finally going to get answers. But you know what? I thought Monday would be a perfect day for us to conclude our mock draft season and do a final mock draft on the Don Mafia Report. Now, do keep in mind, I did hit X and say, for example, you don't follow me there. I highly recommend that you do so at Real Dan Mitchell. I did ask several of you to provide your mock drafts so that we could react to them together. I do plan on making that an episode either later today and or tomorrow. But this is, rest assured, going to be the final mock draft on this channel. And damn, I am so excited for us to finally have the finished product. If you are new here, my name is Dan Mitchell. I post NFL content specifically on the Buffalo Bills each and every single day. So say, for example, that you are new here. When you subscribe to the channel, make sure you turn on bell notifications. And more importantly, hit that like button for me. It is the easiest way to propel this out to the YouTube algorithm and send it to the stratosphere because we are trying to build a community. I just ended up looking and we are about 100 something away from 40,000 subscribers. That is absolutely insane because I had this goal to surpass 40,000 prior to training camp beginning, and we were about to be a couple of months early, which is insane. So if y'all can help me out and subscribe and help us reach this milestone, that would be amazing. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's get this going. Let's get it going, man. Let's get this going. Round 2 picks. I have people going crazy in the chat already, but let's go ahead and knock it out. Let's go ahead and knock this out real fast. Anyway, we have our mock draft simulator, and this time I'm going with the Pro Football Network simulator itself, simply because I feel like PFF's big board is a tad less than ideal, right? This, in my opinion, is a hell of a lot more realistic from what we have been seeing in the past. So, without further ado, let's get into it. I have put it on the normal mode. We are going 7 rounds. Let's lock in this final mock draft and see what is happening. First player off the board is Cam Ward, then Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, Tet McMillan, Will Johnson, Armand Membu. Mike Green slipped into the top 10, which is absolutely insane. Genty fell all the way to the 12th. Matthew Golden, 16. Nick Emenwari. Derek Harmon goes above. Emeka Egbuka. Shador Sanders falls to the Steelers. Jihad Campbell. Malachi. Tyler Booker. Josh Simmons. Walter Nolan. Nick Scorton. James Pierce Jr. And let's take a look at this real fast. Because the Buffalo Bills are currently at 30, right? And yes, I am fully aware that the Buffalo Bills are more than likely about to be moving around the draft board quite a bit. However, I do want to see how this board has fallen to us at pick number 30 already. Had Gray Zabel an offensive guard. Yes, that is a sneaky need for the Buffalo Bills, but do I see us going for a guard this early in the draft? Absolutely not. We have Jackson Dart at 31. Scrolling on down, we have Kenneth Grant, who has fallen to 38th. He could potentially be a guy that we can go after. Siobhan Rebel is also sitting there at 36. This is going to be pretty tough, but I do kind of want to take a look at some of the trade offers that we have. The Broncos want to go to 51. The Las Vegas Raiders want to go to 37. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to accept this from the Raiders and see how this falls to us real fast. You have Dart, you have Milrow, you have Donovan Jackson, Luther Burden, Siobhan Rebel goes off of the board. I'm going to reject this real fast. And look at that, folks. Kenneth Grant has fallen to the Buffalo Bills in the second round of the draft. It's pretty insane. I'm not going to lie to you. Siobhan Rebel was almost available to us at 36. And for some reason, Pro Football Network appears to believe that Kenneth Grant is falling into the early second, and Derek Harmon has surprisingly jumped him. I've heard some rumors here and there that the Cincinnati Bengals are very interested in Derek Harmon. They've had several meetings with him already. and makes sense. But I feel like the only pick here has to be Kenneth Grant. He is my draft crush. He is my first selection crush for this overall situation. Kenneth Grant, welcome to the Buffalo Bills. Let's go ahead and knock this out. You are a Bill. And we're going to scroll down here for a bit. I'm going to pause the draft. And for some reason, it's not showing the NFL teams on the mock draft simulator, but I do like the way that this board is falling. I'm going to pause it real fast and see if I see anybody that is of interest. Yeah, Benjamin Morrison, who many of you are very excited about. Okay. Let me see. You have Trey Amos sitting at 47. We could potentially wait for that. Or we could look at some of the other corners that Buffalo could be looking at. We have Azareye'h Thomas, we have Maxwell Hairston, we have Darian Porter, who the Buffalo Bills have ultimately ended up looking for. Okay, let's go ahead and do this real fast. Let's resume the draft a tad and then pause it here in a second. Trey Amos is off the board. Landon Jackson, Carson Schwinger. Let me see. Azareye'h Thomas. Talk to me. What do we got? All right. Buffalo Bills are at 56. We get pick 132 and a second afterwards. I'm not trading with the New York Jets. We're going to go ahead and reject both of these. Let's take a look. So the 56th overall pick, we need a corner, right? And I'm sitting here looking. We have Kenneth Grant. We traded down 56 and 62. Okay. Let's take a look here. We have Azareye'h Thomas. We have Maxwell Hairston at this moment. We also have Darian Porter. I feel like Azareye'h Thomas would be a better scheme fit for us. I do like Maxwell Hairston as well with his speed. I think that he would be able to really be able to help out as far as our identity of being able to take away the football. So I think Maxwell Hairston makes a little bit of sense to me right here. I really, really do. Look at that. Oh, man, I know y'all would be pissed off if we did this, wouldn't you? If we traded down with the Kansas City Chiefs to get into the third, I'm not going to do that. I am not going to put that or put you guys through that issue. All right, but let's take a look. We have Kenneth Grant, 37th overall, 56th overall pick. We have Maxwell Hairston, cornerback out of Kentucky. Let's see what we have here. So defensive tackle is situated. A wide receiver is also intriguing here. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at who is available. We have Jaden Higgins. We have Jack Beck. He's okay. You have Restrepo. You have Dante Thornton. Funny enough, we saw Kyle Williams go crazy high. I'm going to double check and see where this fool ended up going. Kyle Williams, I'm looking at wide receivers right now, and I'm not even seeing him available at this point. You have Ty Felton. You have Dante Thornton, I suppose I could go with right here. I'm going to check out the edge rusher position. You have Princely Umamelan, who is also an absolute dog. We could go there, folks. We could go safety as well. What safeties are available? Billy Bowman. I might wait for Billy Bowman. I'll tell you what. I think a Princely Umamelan would probably be that next guy for me. I feel like that's where we're going here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look and see who else is available. Jaden Higgins. Is this broken? No, it's not. Thank God. Thought it was broken there for a second. You have Darius Alexander, who is also falling considerably. Alfred Collins is also sitting there looking at us. Round 3. I'm going to pause this up for a second, and I'm going to see if anybody is interesting available. Kenneth Grant, Maxwell Hairston, you have Princely Umamelan, and what we need is a wide receiver, right? So we have defensive tackle, we have corner, we have edge rusher, who has been. I love these 3 picks already. It's defensive happy. And now we're going to go into the wide receiver situation here. I like Dante Thornton at 122. I could probably wait on this guy, who could be our speedster on the outside. I'm not a big fan of Restrepo, especially since I saw this graphic that had him somehow placed above Khalil Shakir for some odd reason or the other. Some of my personal favorite wide receivers have already been gone, which is pretty crazy here. But I'll tell you what, I think that I might entertain trading up. Trade with the 87th overall. It's not even showing the images of the teams right here. Who is that 87? Pick 87 overall. NFL draft. I'm going to Google it real fast. Folks. All right. Whatever. So this mock draft simulator is not doing us any favors. We're just going to continue and draft as is, folks. So we will draft as is and then do another mock draft over on PFF since Pro Football Network just does not appear to be working with us here. Anyway, let me see what some of these people got to say. I'm not a Higgins guy. Some people are saying Jaden Higgins. His hips are kind of an issue. He doesn't get too low. He's not very athletic. He's not very fast. He's like a 4.5, 4.6 kind of guy. He's like a route runner, etc. We need speed specifically. 109, 112. We're going to go ahead and reject right here. But if the Buffalo Bills were to go at 109, I would be selecting Dante Thornton as my potential option. I'm going to take a look at safety. We have 132 next, but I just want to double check. Ooh, Billy Bowman at 103 might be my guy here. I think Billy Bowman might be my guy here, folks. It's defensive heavy. 4 picks in a row. We have Kenneth Grant. That's our one-tech defensive tackle. Maxwell Harrison, cornerback. Princely Umamelan, edge rusher. Safety, Billy Bowman. Out of the A. Listen, we have our entire defense situated. Ready to go. Let's see. Let's see who is available to us at the wide receiver position. Talk to me. Offense is sitting right here. You have Pat Bryant. You have Isaac Tesla. You have Isaiah Bond right here. So we're next up at 169. I could wait for Isaiah Bond off to the outside by itself. He's been going through some issues. So he did just catch a case. We'll see how that plays out. But let me see who else could potentially be available here just based off a Jordan Phillips. I'll double dip at the defensive tackle position. You have Kenneth Grant, you have Maxwell Harrison, you have Princely Umamelan, you have Billy Bowman, you have Jordan Phillips to begin. Man, things are looking fantastic here. I'm liking this. It's defensive heavy. I am not upset with it at all. We have doubled down on the defensive tackle position, a cornerback, and Maxwell Harrison. I'm feeling pretty damn good right now. Guys, smash that like button for me as you are coming on into the show. Let's lock this in. Jake Bringingstool, Noah Williams just ended up coming off of the board. You have Ollie Gordon II, running back out of Oklahoma State, who is one of my personal favorites. A couple of other guys that are interesting here. Nick Nash. Let's take a look at some of the wide receivers here. So you have Isaiah Bond at 180. He's fast. He's off to the outside. Like I said, he caught a case. RAS score is not necessarily ideal, but he does have the speed that we're looking for. You have a Jimmy Horn Jr. Try to see if anybody else really stands out. I feel like Isaiah Bond would be the only pick here if, for example, we were going with this for the remainder of that. So Isaiah Bond, welcome to the Buffalo Bills. We got to see if this is actually cooking. Anyway, let's go to the chat here for a second and see what everybody is thinking. We have Dolak, yeah, but he's going to be like a 7th rounder, I would say, right? I'm going to go ahead and take a look at where he's at. You have Jack Kaiser, who I've seen mock to the Buffalo Bills in the past. You have Bassa, who is also interesting. And then also do keep in mind that we do need at some point some offensive line depth. A Willie Lampkin is also interesting. A Clay Webb out of Jacksonville State would also be something of intrigue here. We have one more pick here. I'll probably go Clay Webb. To be completely honest with you. So an interior offensive guard who I think would be able to fill in nicely for David Edwards if we were to walk away. We could go Ollie Gordon as well, a running back, but I still see a couple that I'm actually decently okay with. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go Clay Webb, offensive guard out of Jacksonville State. Some offensive line depth never hurts the plan for the future. We already have everything so far. Folks, if you are just joining, we have had a pretty defensively heavy mock draft thus far. Kenneth Grant, we have Maxwell Harrison, we have Princely Umamelan, we have Billy Bowman, we have Jordan Phillips. Not the Jordan Phillips that we all know, but the Jordan Phillips out of Maryland. We also have Isaiah Bond. I do understand that he's going through some some court proceedings as well, but that's just what happens when you end up focusing defensively. And then I also selected Clay Webb, an offensive guard out of Jacksonville State, for potential depth on the team. We're sitting here at 173 for the Buffalo Bills at this point. And guys, listen, we are not going to be like walking away with this many picks. I promise you that. And we are going to be doing another mock draft after this one is complete, but just wanted to give you an idea. Next up, say for example that I had to pick anything, something that's really standing out to me, I'd probably end up going with a linebacker here out of Jack Kaiser. Strong feel, solid in zone. I'm going to have to give Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame as our next potential pick. Let's see what we got here. Look at that. At the beginning of the 6th round, probably end up going with a running back. Like right now where we are at, folks, all of these guys are going to be practice squad selections for this team. That's basically where we're at. But so far, in case you were just joining us, we have Kenneth Grant with our first selection. We traded down in the 2nd round. Maxwell Hairston was our cornerback. Princely Umamilan, edge rusher out of Ole Miss, who I am very, very high on. Billy Bowman, safety out of Oklahoma. Jordan Phillips double dipped at the defensive tackle position. Big body guy. Solid insurance policy if Kenneth Grant doesn't work out, but I doubt he will not. Isaiah Bond was our wide receiver we selected off to the outside. Super fast. Has an issue, unfortunately, as far as some court proceedings and some allegations, but here we are. Then Clay Webb, an offensive guard at Jacksonville State. Jack Kaiser, have RJ Harvey. And then finally, we are at a defensive tackle. Let's go ahead and check out if any corners are standing out to me right here. You have Jamari Harris, cornerback out of Iowa, is interesting. Where is that one? You have Longer Beam out of Rutgers. And of course, so Donald Fortune could make some sense for us too. But what I'm going to do is I am just going to take best player available. I am not taking Cam Jackson, folks. I'm going to take Jaden Blue. Jaden Blue, you are a Buffalo Bill, but you're likely a practice squad player. Okay, so revamping everything we have selected so far, folks. We have Kenneth Grant with the 37th overall. We selected Maxwell Hairston, 56th overall, corner out of Kentucky. Princely Umamilan, edge rusher out of Ole Miss. Next up, we selected Billy Bowman. We did not have a 3rd-round pick in this draft. Then we got Jordan Phillips, defensive tackle. Then we got Isaiah Bond, then Clay Webb, then Jack Kaiser, then RJ Harvey, and then Jaden Blue. Double dipped at the running back position. Very interesting. I know a lot of us are probably salivating over this draft class, but let's take a look at this PFF mock draft simulator and run another one. Folks, if you are just coming in, do me a favor, smash that like button. Easiest way on the face of the planet to support what we are doing over here. So close to 40,000 subscribers. Holy hell. So close, man. I did a short video that has like 250,000 views. Half of it is why I think we have welcomed so many people into the family. But say, for example, you're new here and you have not yet subscribed. Help us reach our goal. I genuinely believe that we can get there as we end up locking in another Buffalo Bills mock draft. And then afterwards, I will show the chat some love and divert into our Q&A segment. Going ahead and lock this in real fast. We'll make it reasonably slow. Bang, bang. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. Wow, you had Shedeur Sanders go 2nd overall. So a run on QB. Jihad Campbell, Ashton Genty. I don't know. Folks, let's see how the board falls for Buffalo here. I'm not going to trade up, especially since Kenneth Grant we saw go to the Seattle Seahawks, which is crazy because there are 2 different beliefs when it comes into the Buffalo Bills mock drafts. All right. Buffalo would be sitting here right now at the 30th overall. Edge rusher, linebacker, and a corner is what they suggest that we need here. It's Malachi Starks staring at us right now. You have Trey Amos, Cornerly, Benjamin Morrison at 32. You have Omar Norman Lott. You have Xavier Watts at 60. A lot of guys are right here. Derek Harmon and Siobhan Revel. This is what I'm going to do. Who wants to trade down? It is the Jacksonville Jaguars would like to trade down with me. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to give them. I'm going to give them 30, but you are damn right that I want a third-round pick. I want that third-round pick. And then I'll give them a fourth. Look at that. Give me the third round. Let's double-check and make sure it's in the third. It is. Oh, we have it in the third. Look at that, folks. We have 3 second-round picks and a third. I am offering the trade. Welcome to... Oh, man, listen. Third year in a row not having a first-round selection, but it's okay because I think that it all worked out for us. All right, so we have Josh Cornerly. You have Derek Harmon ended up going over to the New York Giants. I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, my God, Dan, Derek Harmon, he's a 3-tech. He wouldn't fit in our system anyway. And Malachi Starks, safety. It's completely okay. Because I'm looking at a couple of options. We could go Benjamin Morrison, who is a corner out of Notre Dame, ball hawk, right? Like an absolute dog. His first year, he had 6 interceptions. Second year, he had 3 interceptions. Last year, he ended up getting injured, suffered a hip injury. So I'm kind of concerned about his injury history. But if I had to make any selection here, I'm likely going with Trey Amos. I'm just going to have to go with Trey Amos here. Let me double check. Tyleik Williams at 41. We could do this. All right, cool. Trey Amos, welcome to the Buffalo Bills. Darius Alexander ends up falling off of the board. Let's pause the draft here. Let's see what the Colts are all about. I'm going to give them 56. I'm going to give them 132. I'm going to give them 173 and 206. Let's try this. Offer the trade. They indeed bit. All right. So the 45th overall pick, we still have a second round pick, still have a third. I'm cooking. Give me all the flowers in the chat as you can. However, we selected Trey Amos as our first selection in the second round. I'm going to scroll down here. Siobhan Revel at 44 would have been good, but hindsight is indeed 2020. I'm going to take a look at this. I do like Omar Norman Lott. Some people are questioning his motor, but he just wasn't used a lot as far as a heavy rotation over in Tennessee. I like what he's able to bring to the table. He's a solid run blocking guy that could really make it happen for us. And he also has some pass rushing chops as well. I could wait a tad a bit later for some more defensive tackles. Let me see. Where's an interior defensive lineman? You have CJ West. You have Alfred Collins I might wait for too, though. How about wide receiver? How many wide receivers we got up in here? Jalen Royals. I don't know if you guys are going to like what I'm doing here, but I got to walk away with Kyle Williams with my second overall selection. I got to. Listen, each and every single one of us has a draft crush, all right? And Kyle Williams just so happens to be mine. Ex-receiver, crazy against press man coverage, breaks ankles left and right. And have no fear, my friends. Look at that. We still have Omar Norman Lott staring us in the face. However, I'm going to take a look at a couple of options here. Trey Amos, you have Kyle Williams. We're good to go there. Let me see what we got. Defensive tackle. You have Omar Norman Lott, CJ West, Alfred Collins. I feel like Alfred Collins would be my guy. 6'5", 320. Big body guy, as we know. Run stopper. He's already visited the Buffalo Bills. Whoo, baby, I'm feeling good. Feeling good right now. And so I'm liking this draft a hell of a lot better than the Pro Football Network situation. CJ West fits your needs. Played nose tackle. CJ West is somebody I'm going to have to take a look at here a bit later. Shout out to Jesse in the chat. What is going on? You destroyed the Colts with that trade. I certainly did. I don't know why they wanted to take it, but here we are. Listen, I am a man of no mercy here. But anyway, we have this. We have Trey Amos, corner, then Kyle Williams, wide receiver out of Washington State. We have a defensive tackle. So safety is still a need. An edge rusher is still technically a need. Let's take a look at what we got here. So I could go Olu Oladejo. Many are suggesting that this is kind of disrespectful. He's going to go a hell of a lot higher than where we are. We have Ransom, a lot of tackles in this third round in which that I'm looking at. Savion Williams, we already got a wide receiver. That would be redundant. Already have a corner. I do want to take a look at some of the corners for future reference in case we want to double dip at anything. Noel Williams is also interesting. Noel is also interesting. We could potentially plug him in, and a Kobe Bryant, who I think would be solid. But I can't pass up on the value here. I would ultimately end up going with Olu as our edge rusher. Welcome to the squad. Welcome to the squad, folks. So far, we have Trey Amos, we have Kyle Williams, we have Alfred Collins, and the third pick in the third round, our sole pick would have been Olu. But it appears that the PFF mock draft simulator has crashed out on us. Want to know why? Because each and every single person on the face of the planet is probably using this system all across the internet. But rest be assured, I feel like that would be the point where everybody tunes out and they would be waiting for people like myself to give all of the coverage from day 3. Day 1 and day 2 is what everybody cares about. Then afterwards, typically people unplug and hope we can find some diamonds in the rough and or gems. But since PFF Mock Draft Simulator just crashed out, this is a rundown of our first 4 selections. We traded down and we received Trey Amos with our first pick in the second round. Then we traded up in the second to select Kyle Williams, wide receiver out of Washington State. And then with our final second round pick, we selected Alfred Collins, defensive tackle out of Texas. And then with our third round pick, which we acquired via a trade down situation, we ended up selecting Olu and the Oladejo. Super excited about that. Now, folks, this is the portion of my show where I ultimately end up transitioning over into the live chat, right? I allow my live chat community to take full control of this episode with their Q&A segment statements that they have. So say, for example, that you do have a question for me. In order for me to easily decipher between statements and or questions and or people just arguing with each other in the chat, please do me a favor and just label each and every single thing that you submit with a Q dash or an S dash so I can decipher between the two. Makes my life a hell of a lot easier. I do need to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor, and that just so happens to be William Mattar. Folks, if you were ever hurt in a car, you better call William Mattar, #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. Be safe drivers out there, folks, but in case an unsafe driver ends up hitting you and you come out with an injury, it's very important to find yourself quality representation and look no further than our guy over at William Mattar. All right, the Q&A segment. Let's see what everybody has to say so far. Go to the Pro Football Network and mock. I did do the Pro Football Network at the beginning of this episode. They were also having some sort of issues as well. Their team logos were not showing up, but is what it is, man. Listen, we are currently 3 days away from the draft. I could imagine that several people that are locked in with work right now are probably just mock drafting away on the clock, and I could not blame them by any stretch. By any stretch. We're going to have to see. I could see us taking a tight end 2, although I do like Davidson as tight end 3. I really don't think that would be the case. We have Dwayne coming in with the first question of the day. Shout out to my moderators, by the way. Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to Dwayne. Shout out to Mike Green. Shout out to everybody that mods on my channel, man, and keeping the peace because things get a little crazy. Dan, Seattle has 2 second-round picks. That would make an amazing trade. Our first for Seattle's 2 seconds, and we would give up a 4th as well. They have 2 seconds. Yeah, that's a lot of picks in the second round. I think it would be ideal, but so I would imagine where Seattle is currently that they're going to want to hold on to as many of those high-round picks as humanly possible. But hell, I mean, listen, don't sleep on Brandon Beane. Don't sleep on Brandon Beane. Donnie Yavs has come in saying, and do you want to do a bench press comp versus an old man me? Most off 225 or 275 pounds, your choice. Damn, bro. Damn, man. Listen, bro. Like, we're challenging, man. It's the alpha challenge. Yeah, bro, I'll do it. And so I just did chest day today, though. So, like, give me, yeah, we can do it. Let's rep 225. Let's see what we got. Man. Me, like, I think I could probably do it about, I don't know, Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to do it. Donnie, what's up, man? Hope all is well. Film it, though. Film it, and then we'll put it up there. We have Arthur Kraft. Is there a player in round one that you're worried will slip to the Buffalo Bills? I could see us taking Starks and then not getting a good cornerback at 56. Oh, I feel like that's an interesting question. And shout out to Arthur for submitting this one. So a player that could potentially slip to us all the way down to 30 that would make us change our position from trading down. So I really think that the cornerback position, as far as scheme fits, extend a bit further than just the early second round, right? As much as I love Siobhan Ravel, right? Like, I think Siobhan Ravel is going to have the best career out of any corner that's coming out of this class. I sincerely do. But I think a lot of NFL organizations are still very scared about that. And even if we miss on Siobhan Ravel, there's still perfect scheme fits for us that extend all the way toward the end of the second round. Sort of like Azarie Thomas. You have Darian Porter, who it was just reported that he visited the Buffalo Bills last week or this past weekend. He is also a corner that is projected in the late second. Same thing with Maxwell Hairston. He's probably going to be like mid-round, like second round selection. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I feel like we'll be okay. We have Aaron Prevost has come in and asking a question. Could James Cook be used to trade up in the first round? No. And it's not because I'm trying to disrespect the talent that James Cook brings to the table, but he's positioning himself. His value is not nearly as high as it would have been if this draft class incoming was weak. But like, you can find a game-changing running back all the way down to the late fourth round this year. Like, there are so many good running backs right within this draft. Teams aren't going to be wanting to trade for a player that's going to be 26 and wants $15 million a year when they could walk away like with an Ashton Genty, with an Omarion Hampton, with a Dylan Sampson, with a Cam Scatabo, who are significantly younger, and they would need to like pay them a rookie contract, right? We could potentially trade him. Like, I don't believe that we're going to trade him. Right? But say that they wanted to, like, we'd probably be able to leverage him to get us into the third, or maybe like help us move up slightly right within the second. Like, say that the Dallas Cowboys really wanted Omarion Hampton, or they really wanted Cam Scatabo, or like the top four running backs were gone, then a team that ended up missing out on one of those guys, I could see them be interested in James Cook then. But again, I honestly don't believe that we'll be going a running back. Bill 716 question: would you prefer a technical corner like Amos or a physical beast like Darian Porter at 30/56? I like Darian Porter a lot, right? Like, his attributes pop off of film. It pops off of the box score of his stats, etc. Man, you know what? Like, this corner, all right, listen. As far as potential scheme fits, I think there's a hell of a lot more at the cornerback position than there is at defensive tackle for us, right? There are a lot of studs at the defensive tackle position this year. Make no mistake. But what we're looking for, as far as somebody that has experience at nose tackle, solid one-tech defensive tackle, that can play that role, that can be that run eater, that could be that double team magnet, that could open up the rest of the defensive line, they're fewer and far between. Corner, for example, a lot of the top names would fit our system like a glove. A lot of them would. So I'd be fine with both of them. And so I wouldn't be mad if that was our strategy. I'd be fine with Darian Porter. I'd be fine with Amos. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. We have Beth B. Although Cook has said he's playing for the Bills this year, I know that the team doesn't want to see Cook go, but if the deal is right, maybe what teams higher in the first round need a running back? I just don't see it happening, Beth. Like, not unless like you just have a GM that would make like a financially irresponsible decision. That would make a financially terrible decision, right? And so maybe the Cowboys would do it, right? Because that's not something that I would put past Jerry Jones. Darren has come in. Question, and do you think that the White signing, we take a chance on Ravel, Morrison, and Porter to give them time to develop / recover from injury, but have a much higher ceiling? Surprisingly, yes, Darren. Surprisingly, yes. Even besides that Trey White signing, even if we didn't bring in Trey White, I think that would have given us enough of an insurance policy to take a gamble on a player that is coming off of an injury, right? Siobhan Revel, as we know, just had an entire reconstruction of his ACL this past September. And of course, you're going to see reports coming in that say, hey, Siobhan Revel, like he could be ready by week 1. Give me a break. Give me an absolute break. I don't think that's going to happen, right? Like he'll probably be on the PUP list to begin the season. Maybe he comes back week 4. He's going to have a ramp up period. And maybe we start seeing some meaningful snaps by week 8, week 9. So Morrison, I believe, is probably going to have to take a couple of weeks to ramp up, especially to full-time NFL speed. But we have that sort of insurance policy with great coaching and with players that are familiar with the system in the first place. I honestly think that Sean McDermott has no problem putting Trey White out there for the first half of the season because, again, like we said, while Rasul Douglas struggled last year, the secondary still led the league in turnovers. Solid turnover differential. So you're damn right. You're damn right. And I would be happy with the Siobhan Revel because that's a future move for me. You know what I mean? Dan, if we snag Grant day 1, and do you see him as a day 1 starter next to Ed Oliver? I feel like he would deservedly be, right? But then again, would McDermott trust him? Especially say that we have Daquan Jones still on the roster. He's on his final year of his deal. Daquan could potentially be a player that we could move on from technically, right? Especially if Buffalo wants to double dip at that defensive tackle position. But as far as the day 1 starter, maybe not, but I do think as the season would continue to trend, I think that we would start to see a trend up in his overall snap share because Buffalo does have a pretty heavy rotation on the defensive line. So I think at the beginning of the season, we would be seeing things like a Daquan Jones is getting 60% of the snaps while Grant would be getting 40. And then maybe we end up phasing Daquan Jones out depending on how Grant plays. It just depends on the development. And so we know how Sean McDermott is with making the rookies take baby steps into really becoming a key piece of the defense. Carl Toman has said, question, and the mock drafts have been all over the place. I have seen Kenneth Grant fall to the Bills at 30. I've seen him taken as early as 14 or drop to the second round at pick 33. Do we move up, back up, or stay put? So I think staying put is the least likely scenario for us. Staying put is the least likely. Next most likely for me would be trading up slightly, like 2 or 3 like picks, like maybe up to 24 for the Minnesota Vikings. That makes a lot of sense because they only have 4 picks this year. I think that they are in desperate need of some capital. And then second most likely would probably have to be trading down into the second to acquire a 3rd second-round pick and then leveraging that pick that we received from Minnesota at 56 to trade up in the second round and also acquire a 3rd. That's kind of the chess moves that I can foresee Brandon Beane doing. But I think to this day, us staying pat at 30 is the least likely because we've only ever done it twice since Brandon Beane has taken over. But then again, who knows, right? Dan versus Donnie, bench press for Bob. I had no idea that Bob so was at stake here. All right. Statement, trade down in the second for defensive tackle Williams, safety Watts, cornerback Darian Porter. I'd be fine with that too. If we were able to finesse something like that, I would be happy. We have Buffalo Chris. We let go of Cooper and Hollins for free agency, and Palmer replaces Cooper. Who replaces Hollins? That's why I would go wide receiver in the first round. It's either Igbuka or Luther B. Trey Amos, Ty W follows. So here's a difficult pill to swallow. And this is something that Bills Mafia doesn't typically agree with me on, but like Mac Hollins was mid last year. Like really outside of like maybe like one or two cool catches right in the end zone. Like he had some pretty key drops at the beginning of the season. And like his stats were like 300 yards, right? So especially when you compare him to a player that got a lot of shit from people like Keon Coleman, like last year, like with Keon Coleman, his numbers like far exceeded what Mac Hollins was able to do. I feel like we fell in love with Mac Hollins, his personality, and so the way that he would dress up like Fred Flintstone and walk barefoot, and like he was like a TikTok star or something like that. Like his production is not going to be impossible to replace, right? Like we really just need to replace like 380 something yards, right? In fact, let me make sure I'm not making an ass out of myself here. Let me make sure I'm right. Mac Hollins stats 2024. Let me see. Yeah, like he had 378 yards and 5 touchdowns. He had 31 receptions. That sort of production is not something that I think that we desperately need to replace, right? And plus, like, look at this. Like, look at wide receiver number 1 for us right now as far as targets and production in Khalil Shakir. We got that man like right in the mid rounds, right? So I don't think wide receivers should be in the first, like not unless something crazy happens. Like we see like, so Matthew Goldenfall, like for example, right? Like he would be fine. Like Luther Burden is interesting to me too, but he's a slot receiver. Like that's where he ends up excelling. He did have experience out at the X position, but that was his rookie season and his production was absolute ass. But then when they moved him over to the slot, like that slot role, that's where he ended up going through. Like my only wish for a wide receiver and really for any position, especially within our first 4 selections for me, is don't take a player that we hope can transition into our scheme, right? Like don't draft a defensive tackle that has only ever played 3 tech, but we have a lot of faith that he can play 1 tech because of his size, right? I don't want to gamble that because that means that we're going to have to be sitting there and hoping that he could take that next step in development. And that's a time commitment. I want somebody who fits into our system like a glove. We ask him to do what he did in college because that's precisely what we need this year on this Bills team is somebody that can fit in immediately, 0 learning curve. I'm fine with an X guy. Right? But that's just that's my thought process. So reports say that defensive coordinator Bobby Babich is transitioning to more of a man coverage defense. Interesting. I did not read that report. I'd like to see. We have 39,910 90 subs needed for Dan to hit 40K. Let's go. Oh my God. Could we do it? Could we do it on this stream, folks? Let me know. All right. 291 of you are currently watching right now. We have 166 on YouTube. 118 of you are currently on X. Folks, smash that like button for me. It's the easiest way to show love. And if you subscribe to the channel, make sure you turn on bell notifications because, damn, this is my favorite part of the episodes where I transition exclusively over to the live chat. We have Go Bill statement. I know I'm a bit late, but I would destroy a medium-sized Wolf H2H. Just give me an hour to practice. I love it. I love it, man. All right, we have My Life Real 716. And do you think the Saints were late to report Derek Carr injury because they are going to tank for Arch Manning? Tank for Arch. We have My Life Real 716. So with Arch Manning is interesting, right? Because like you ask anybody that is a Longhorns fan, they are going to tell you that he's going to stay for his senior year. Because that's what the Mannings do, right? Like that's what the family does. But then again, I look at the Arch Manning situation and I'm saying, if that kid goes out there and he wins the Heisman, right? And like he has an electric season, why in the hell would he go 1 more year in college and risk injury and screw his draft stock? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, right? I think depending on how he performs, and I'm anticipating that he absolutely lights college football up next year, he's probably going to go into the draft. Saints, no. I feel like this has everything to do with them actually strongly considering taking Shedeur Sanders. In fact, I think they will take Shedeur Sanders at 9. And the Derek Carr situation had nothing to do with the Saints. It has everything to do with them, right? Like Derek Carr, so reports have been coming out that he doesn't want to be with the Saints. Like he wants to be traded. But he's running into a roadblock right now because this team is in such cap ruin, like they have been for the past couple of years, that if they were to move on from him, they would just be repeating past sins, and they would continue to elongate the process of finally being in a semi-decent financial position. And I don't think Kellen Moore and the new regime wants to repeat sort of those mistakes. So I don't think that's the case. I do think that Arch Manning is going to go into the draft next year, but I think the Saints are going to be going with Shedeur Sanders. I am absolutely taking Starks at 30. If he falls, unless Grant is there, draft best player available. Great players make a team better. He is a stud. I would be fine with that too. I really, really would be fine with that. 87 subs needed right now. Damn, could we do it? Could we cross 40K? Could we cross 40,000 subscribers before this stream ends? I don't know. I mean, listen, we've been going for about 46 minutes. I guarantee you it's going to happen today. I just don't know if it's going to happen on this stream. If I hit 40K, I will go live a little bit later today. Statement, yes. And so the Saints are tanking for a guy who couldn't beat out Quinn Ewers for 2 years. Arthur Kraft. He's not an Arch Manning guy, man. I want to trade up for a cornerback or a defensive tackle in the first because we got like 10 picks. Yeah, for sure. We could definitely do that. Carl Tillman is coming with a question. And do you think the Patriots will trade pick number 4 to the Eagles for A.J. Brown, a 2025 first and a 2026 second? How would that affect the Bills in the AFC East? So I've seen the reports on that. In fact, I made a video on it yesterday. Yes, he's a Patriots fan. He's been a Patriots fan his whole life. He was visibly upset when the Patriots did not draft him a couple of years back. Yes, I saw him flexing a Julian Edelman jersey on his Instagram account. It could be potential, right? Like say that Abdul Carter is sitting there at 4. And so I do see a world where the Patriots do trade down. It's not something that I'm setting in stone that they do stay put at 4. But I feel like it's one of those situations where I'm going to have to believe it to see it. It's kind of where I'm at. It's way too much to give up for Brown. That would be great if they did that. Question. Went from Ezeruku pick 30. Morrison pick 46. Sanders pick 62. Is that a good draft? We have Yaya Chris. So are we talking about Shedeur Sanders at 62? So I'm assuming. So who's your favorite team, Yaya? And so Sanders. So Shedeur Sanders at pick 62. So I wouldn't see the Bills going for a quarterback, especially that high. Oh, we have TJ Sanders. Okay. All right. Yeah. That is a solid mock draft. I'm super happy about that. Okay, according to Adam Schefter, and the Eagles are not trading A.J. Brown, so the Patriots are not getting him. Go Bills is coming. Whenever the Bills tried to blitz, the secondary kept getting smoked, which most of the time they were in man coverage. So I think as long as like you build your defensive line appropriately, you don't really need to have a system that has a lot of blitzes, right? But yeah, you know. So do you believe that the Bills will trade back if their top 5 players on their draft board are gone? Yeah, definitely. And so I don't see us reaching this year. Or at least I hope that we don't. Let me see. Dwayne is coming with a great question. He says, if you were to put a percent on chances we make a huge move trading our first and a second round to get to the mid to late teens in round 1, a percentage for me? So you're saying mid to late teens? Ooh. 10%, maybe? Yeah, I'd probably say 10%. So I feel us like trading up right within the second round is just a hell of a lot more likely to me. It's a hell of a lot more likely to me. So to trade up in the second. But so would I be pissed? I suppose it really just depends on who we select. With Josh Allen winning the MVP, the Bills are going to be at the Super Bowl champs for the first time. You know what, T-Rex, man? Inject it into my veins. Statement from Tony has come in. If the Bills draft a quarterback, it should be the 5th or later for a solid, cheap backup. Riley Leonard, don't think they will or should, but he would be the best option to learn behind Josh. Yeah, for sure. It's tough for me, especially since like I'm looking at the roster. So you have Mitchell right as QB2, right? He's under contract, and us leaving him like wouldn't do us any financial favors. Have Mike White right on the practice squad. And so I'd be shocked say that we took a QB at all. Moshe, I'd trade down for Tyreek, trade back up for Harrison, and then get the best player available after that. Speak it into existence. Beane is not reaching. He learned from the Elam pick. He panicked after the Chiefs traded ahead of us and took McDuffie. Absolutely. I really sincerely hope that he does not make the same mistake. That's where we're at. All right. And so do you think drafting a Grant at 30 would be a waste and Grant doesn't see much of the field if Daquan goes off this season and just dominates? Then the Bills sign him to a 1-year contract. Grant doesn't see much. Daquan. I feel like we're going to be walking away from him due to his age, but that's just me. But all right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Don Mafia Report. Thank you for 40,000 subscribers. All right. I do have a funny feeling that we're going to hit it today. And then we will celebrate a little later this afternoon because I have a feeling that we're going to, because this weekend's been blowing up. Anyway, I do want to let everybody know that I ended up going to X at Real Dan Mitchell. And I posted something saying, please drop your mock draft so I could react to them. That's going to be my next sort of episode. I'm going to be reacting to y'all's mock drafts. So if you want your mock draft to be viewed / selected, highly recommend you go check it out. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real fast. At Real Dan Mitchell on X, folks. Go follow me over there. And as you can see, I posted something here saying, drop your Bills mock draft in the replies. I am going to react to the best ones in a video this week. This week, meaning today. So just make sure you go follow me at X, at Real Dan Mitchell, and then drop your mock drafts in this thread. As you can see, we already have several that have been released already. I'm hoping to react to about 20 to 30 later this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Don Mafia Report. I will be live later for Fourth and Forever on the Roundtable Sports Network, and then hopefully later this afternoon. Again, thank you so much for 40,000 subscribers. That is insane. I started this channel like 5 years ago. Never thought that I would have made it this far, and I would not have been able to do it without you guys. Thank you so much. I love each and every single one of you, and I will see you later this afternoon. Deuces.